Mama, permit me to ride on the protocol already established by my boss, the chair, and not repeat the salutations. As the, I don't know what he prefers to call himself, Master of Ceremonies or Director of Programs, he said we have twins. Indeed, we have twins, and I'll start with Opio. And Mama, what actually makes the twins is a second born, is a chain, so I'll end with a chain that confirms that these are twins. So I'll start with the transition examination statement, which is a bit shorter than the other one. Honorable Minister of Education and Sports, Uganda National Examinations Board presents to you the results of the 2024 Uganda Certificate of Education Transition Examination. The examination was conducted based on the now defunct UCE curriculum for those that had missed the last 2023 examination, or those who had wanted to repeat in order to improve their grades. Mama, we are grateful that you allowed that the board conducts this examination. The registration for these exams, the total candidature, Mama, was 10,141 candidates registered from 1,028 centers. Of these, 43.1% were males and 52.9% were females. 813 or 8% were beneficiaries of the USE program, and the other 88.0 were non-USE. And of the total number registered, 96.1% sat for the examination, and out of those, 4,369 were males and 5,373 were females. 399 did not again avail themselves this opportunity that, Mama, you had allowed. Registration for the special needs candidates, under this examination, Mama, we also had some SNE candidates. There were 44, 20 males and 24 females, and they were blind, low vision, deaf, dyslexics, physically handicapped, and then there were 15 others that had other forms of disability. All the 44 except one candidate were present for the examination. Section 3, Mama, the general performance of the candidates under this examination, we show it in Table 1 in terms of divisions, the number of candidates in those different divisions, the cumulative numbers, and also the cumulative percentage. It shows that in Division 1, out of the 9,000 plus who sat, 80 or 0.8% were able to pass in Division 1. 5.2% of 503 candidates passed in Division 2, and the others, as you see. And the percentage of those that did not make it or who got grade 9 is a little high at 16.7%. We also compared the performance of the males and the females, as we have done in previous statements, in Table 2, expressed in terms of cumulative percentages at the indicated levels. It's a table with a lot of figures, but, Mama, you can be seen at grade 2 or distinction level, we are separating or disaggregating male and female performance, and then we are also listing the subject. So one can run down the columns and see the percentage of males and females at the different subjects that are passing with at least a distinction, and then credit, and finally at minimum of grade 8. In Table 3, Mama, we've also compared the percentage of divisional passes, showing that in Division 1, the males and female candidates who sat were the same, that is 0.8% in both. Division 2, the males were a little higher at 5.8 compared to 4.7 for the females. Similarly, at Division 3, the males were also slightly higher at 18.0% compared to 17.1. However, at Division 9, the percentages are more or less the same. We also compared or presented the performance of special needs candidates in table number 4, showing the number of candidates in the different divisions, Division 1, 2, 3, and then the type of special needs, the blind, the low vision, and so on. And we can see that a lot of our candidates, these ones who sat, are in Division 3 and Division 4. There were a few cases of malpractice. About 200 of these learners were found to have involved themselves in external assistance, and their results will be held until we talk to them. Mama, collection of results. These results will be uploaded on the examination center portals, and the heads of examination centers can download their results as soon as you officially release them. We are not providing any hard copies right now, but maybe later on those that are interested will be notified when they are ready for collection. Parents, candidates, and other interested parties wishing to access the results may use the short messaging service, SMS, on MTN and Airtel, as we have always guided. Mama, submission of queries. We again urge the heads of examination centers to study the result lists and submit the queries that they may have on name spellings and other things like that to the board via their portals within 15 working days from today's date. This enables us to work on these queries in good time and be able to prepare the result slips and finally print the certificates. Mama, this is the brief from the first twin appeal, and I thank you for your kind attention to this report. Allow me, Mama, now to turn to the statement on the competency-based curriculum. Honorable Minister of Education and Sports, the Uganda National Examinations Board presents to you the results of the 2024 Uganda Certificate of Education Examination, which was conducted successfully under the theme Embracing Security and Holistic Assessment of Learners in a Dynamic Environment. The theme enjoined all concerned to accept the essence of security at all stages of the examination process. It emphasizes the assessment of the whole person, the cognitive, the affective, and the psychomotor domains. And Mama, this curriculum speaks to this assessment of the whole person. Assessment is taking place in a rapidly changing environment driven by rapid developments in technology. As we do assessment, Mama, we must be alive to these realities. These are the results of the first cohort of candidates under the competency-based curriculum that we are presenting to you. And Mama, we are excited that we have finally come to this point. Mama, in 2020, you rolled out the competency-based curriculum for the lower secondary school level. This presented a requirement for assessment reforms that introduced new components of continuous assessment, or CA, and project work on top of the various activities on top of the existing end-of-cycle examination. The board then embarked on various activities in preparation to assess the first cohort of learners following a roadmap that had been developed. The board had to build capacity for its staff, given that the assessment of the curriculum would fundamentally shift from what was then in practice. The board then embarked on the development of formats for students' identification to facilitate registration of Senior 3 and Senior 4 learners and tracking their continuous assessment scores in all the schools, not just the ones with UNEB examination centers. Therefore, Mama, a unique format of numbers to identify the learners in schools without UNEB centers was also developed. This was then followed by development of assessment tools, guidelines, training materials, capacity building for teachers as item writers and scorers, benchmarking to pick best practices, and sensitization of key education stakeholders. Mama, the board was able to put in place all the necessary assessment tools, including an in-house software codenamed Assessment Management Information System, or AMIS. We trained a total of 63,041 teachers, of whom 43,741 were male and 19,300 were female. These were teachers of Senior 3 and Senior 4, and we did this throughout the country, and the assessment was, the training was on the assessment of continuous assessment, with emphasis on the use of digital assessment tools that we had developed and circulated. The training also included assessment of the project work, which, Mama, is a mandatory component of the curriculum assessment. We retooled 5,200 of the targeted 800 existing examiners to equip them with new skills of scoring under the competency-based assessment. We successfully administered the examination that has culminated into the results that you are due to release. However, Mama, there is urgent need for us to do some mop-up training in some of the areas where training had not been properly concluded, and also to target the teachers of Senior 1 and Senior 2. As I said, Mama, the training that was done targeted Senior 3 and 4, those two being the most urgent classes. Important to note, Mama, is that the new assessment comes with a change in reporting and certification, as the board chair has said. The board, in close consultations with the National Curriculum Development Center, has come up with a reporting mechanism that presents the learners' levels of achievement in each subject with a letter grade A, B, C, D, or E. The levels of achievement were arrived at through a systematic and technical processes that combine the learner's score based on continuous assessment done at school and the end of cycle examination score, and the combination is in a proportion of 20% continuous assessment done at school and 80% the end of cycle examination respectively. Additionally, Mama, the project work is assessed at school and the achievement level is presented as a standalone on the certificate. The achievement level on the project reveals the learner's creative competency in dealing with actual contemporary world problems. The meanings of these letter grades are explained a little later in this statement, Mama. Mama, during the implementation, we encountered some challenges such as the lack of efficient ICT infrastructure in many schools, which was a major constraint in the ability of these schools to make timely submissions of the continuous assessment scores to UNEB. The volume of data that UNEB must receive and store is also now requiring larger capacity servers at UNEB. There is the challenge of shortage of school laboratory facilities. The new curriculum, being skill-based, requires that science-based science labs and workshops are well equipped to give the learners enough chance to create new knowledge through self-learning. Unfortunately, many rural and private schools lack these, and some are also short of science teachers. Mama, along the way, we also discovered that some schools appeared to be resisting the change to the new curriculum. They were stuck in teaching the old curriculum in the hope that government would retract the new curriculum given the challenges that were evident at the start of the new curriculum implementation. They were surprised when the board released sample examination papers. These challenges could have impacted on the candidates' achievements, especially in the sciences. Despite these challenges, the new competency-based curriculum assessment, Mama, has been successful. Mama, during the marking, the board also suffered pressure from scorers' strikes for increased pay, as I had occasion to brief you about earlier. Your guidance on the course of action was well taken, and management is taking appropriate action. Nonetheless, the other non-striking groups in their end of scoring reports have overwhelmingly recommended that UNEB should train more scorers due to the more complex nature of the scoring of this examination, and also should consider raising their fees across the subjects. I believe these issues will be addressed with the availability of extra financial resources, which we have requested for. Mama, in section 2 now, I report on the registration of the candidates. The total candidature is 359,417 candidates who have registered for this first cohort of the examination. May I explain here, Mama, that previously our total registration would be based on the candidates that had moved on from senior 3 and those who were repeating. This particular time, these are candidates that came straight from senior 3 because, as we know, there are still no repeaters. So the number may look a little lower than that of last year. But when you add the 10,141 to these, then the number of candidates we registered for UCE would be higher than that of 2023. Of these, 177,133, or 49.3%, were males, while 182,284, or 50.7%, were females. 38.1 were beneficiaries of the UCE program, and 61.9% were non-UPE. Mama, a total of 357,120, or 99.4%, were present for this examination, and only 2,297, or 0.6%, were absent. Mama, we observe that this is the lowest rate of absenteeism ever, and this is a very good sign that more and more of our children who come to this class stay on until they take the examination. We are grateful for this. Mama, I also report on registration of special groups. The special needs candidates were 743. Out of those, we have 354 males, 389 females. they consisted of those categories of special needs or disabilities and the numbers as I have indicated. They sat the examination and only 5 were absent, that is 0.7% of the candidates. The board made adequate arrangements for these candidates, as we have always done, the modification of question papers, provision of braille, sign language interpreters, and so on and so forth. They were also allowed, as we have always done, Mama, 45 minutes extra in each paper. Mama, we also have from our 2 schools in the prisons, the board registered 28 candidates from the Uganda government upper prison here in Luzira. Of those, 27 were males, and we have 1 female. From Mbarara main prison, there were 11 who sat, and all of them were male. Mama, we note that at primary we also had from Mbarara, all of them were male. The little rather unscientific research I did is that the females who live around the catchment area of Mbarara prison do not commit any crimes, and they are not in prison. Section 3, Mama, we report now on the general candidate's performance in this examination. As mentioned above, the format of reporting performance under the competency-based curriculum differs significantly from the old curriculum. Performance is reported by achievement levels indicated by letter grades A, B, C, D, and E. And Mama, I'm showing in the table the achievement levels and the descriptors trying to explain to us what each level means. The achievement level for each subject is arrived at from the scores generated from the assessment of competencies at the school level, that is through the continuous assessment, and the scores from the competencies that are assessed in the final end of cycle. And as I said earlier on, they are in the ratio of 20% continuous assessment and 80% from the end of cycle examination. So Mama, table 1 is indicating the achievement levels. The grade A, the achievement level is described as exceptional. And a candidate who has this grade A and is an exceptional candidate or learner is that person who demonstrates an extraordinary level of competency by applying innovatively and creatively the acquired knowledge and skills in real-life situations. The one that is at grade B, the achievement level is described as outstanding. And that candidate demonstrates a high level of competency by applying the acquired knowledge and skills in real-life situations. Mama, the common denominator in all these is application of knowledge and skills in real-life situations. That's why that phrase is repeated at all assessment levels. C is described as satisfactory, and that candidate demonstrates an adequate level of competency by applying the acquired knowledge and skills in real-life situations. Then D is described as basic. That is, this candidate demonstrates a minimum level of competency in applying the acquired knowledge and skills in real-life situations. Then finally, E, Mama, is described as elementary. This person demonstrates below the basic level of competency in applying the acquired knowledge and skills. Mama, given the complete departure from the old grading system, of reporting in divisions like 1, 2, 3, we cannot compare the performance between the candidates of 2023 and 2024. Under the competency-based assessment, Mama, there is no ranking of candidates in divisions as in the previous curriculum. A candidate will qualify for the Uganda Certificate of Education, certificate if he obtains a competency level grade of D in at least one subject. Mama, the minimum number of subjects that a candidate sits here is 8, and the maximum number is 9. So if a candidate obtains the basic level at D in any of the 8 or 9 subjects that the candidate has taken, that candidate is deemed to have qualified for the Uganda Certificate of Education Award. So with this in mind, the overall results show that 350,146 or 98.5% of the candidates who sat qualified for the UCE certificate. And this will be indicated on their results, transcripts and certificates as result 1. The E, if I may go back to that table, Mama, I did not mention E because the minimum score is D in order to qualify. Now the E, we are saying this person is below the basic level for this certificate. The candidate is not entirely empty of knowledge or skills. They have something, but what they have is not adequate for them to be awarded the certificate. Under this competency-based curriculum, Mama, nobody fails completely. Nobody gets a 0 score. No, everybody has learned something. But when it comes to award of a certificate, then we consider that level of D and above. So all these candidates who have qualified will have result 1 indicated on their transcripts and certificates. The candidates who did not fulfill the awards or for the certificate will have result 2. Now the ones that have not fulfilled the conditions are those who may not have sat for all the 8 subjects, the minimum. They registered, but for some reason they didn't turn up for one of the subjects, so they have only 7. So they have not fulfilled the minimum requirements to get that certificate. Or it may be a candidate who has not registered for the compulsory subjects. There are subjects that have been indicated in the curriculum as being compulsory. For example, mathematics, English language, and some of the humanities. So when a candidate does not sit, although they registered for these, they will also have not fulfilled the conditions for the award, and they will result 2 will be indicated in their transcript. Now, those also will include those who do not have project work submitted. Now, result 3 will be indicated on the transcript of a candidate who has not met the minimum level in all the subjects. For example, Mama, if a candidate scores grade E, that is the elementary grade in all the 8 or 9 subjects that they have sat, they also do not qualify for the award of this certificate, and they will have result 3 indicated. Now there will be candidates who have registered and have not appeared. Those have not indicated here, but the board will still print a transcript in order to account for them, but they will have result 4, meaning that they were not present for the examination. Now these are the explanations for these grades, the achievement levels, the descriptors, and the grades of the certificates. Mama, in table 2, I show the achievement levels in compulsory and large entry subjects, English, Christian religious education, and so on up to art and design. And I'm indicating the percentages of candidates that were exceptional or got A in those subjects. As you can see, English language, 2.7% of the candidates were graded exceptional, and 1.6% in Christian religious education, 6.4% in history and political education, and so on up to art and design, where you have a high 13.0%. Now at B, these are now cumulative, A and B together, and also C, and then the final column is E. Exceptional levels of achievements are noted especially in art and design, where the percentage is quite high and nobody has scored an E. Everybody who did art scored at least a D and above. Then we also have history and political education, agriculture, and mathematics. These were fairly high, as we can see from the table. Proportions of candidates achieving the elementary or below basic level are most significant in physics, followed by chemistry, and then English language. When you look at the column under E, you will see that physics, we have 12.8% of the candidates who are elementary, that is, they are below the basic level of D. And also we have chemistry, which is 6.3.1, biology 2.3, mathematics 2.8, English language 3.6. However, it is satisfying to note that a very high percentage, Mama, as I have already indicated, have at least got the basic level in this examination. Mama, the reports from our scorers, or examiners, as we've called them before, indicate that in the science practical assessments, candidates were expected to use a given scenario and materials that had been provided to develop aims and hypotheses, plan and carry out investigations and draw conclusions. The main problems that they observed is the failure of candidates to interpret the scenarios given or to connect the scenarios and the materials supplied to them in real-life situations, or to interpret the results of the experiments that they had carried out and create meaning connected to everyday situations. Mama, the emphasis in this curriculum is application of knowledge and skills to problem solve or to solve problems in our everyday life. Candidates that appear not to have been guided properly tried to use the old method of recalling facts to respond to these scenarios. In English and other foreign languages, the challenges that were observed have been inadequate vocabulary, inability to paraphrase or using your own words without having to copy directly from a given text when you are writing a summary, or using inappropriate examples in the comprehension texts or literature analysis. The reports, however, indicate that in those languages where speaking was part of the assessment, candidates demonstrated a fair understanding of the given scenarios and responded well. The challenge that cuts across all areas is the difficulty that candidates showed in linking scenarios to problem solving in real life situations. This competency, as I have said, is at the core of the curriculum and implies that teachers need to do much more to guide the learners towards this focus. Mama, in section 4, I report the achievement levels of male and female candidates. The table below compares achievement levels of the male and female candidates in the large and compulsory subjects in terms of cumulative percentages at the indicated levels. You can see I've reproduced the same subjects, and this time we are disaggregating the achievement levels between males and females at A, B, C, D, and E. And we can see, for example, our English language, 2.2% of the males are exceptional, while the percentage for female is 3.2. At B, which is cumulative, the males are for 16.4%, while 22.7% are females. And that goes on across and down the table. What the table shows is that the female candidates demonstrated higher achievement levels in English language. This mama has been the same in even the old curriculum and at all other levels. The females constantly do better than the males in English. And then Christian religious education, which is a good thing, mama. The females are, I think, a little more religious and kinder than the males, so it's not surprising that the achievement levels here is much better. And then art and design. Again, I think this is an area where female touch is definitely much better than that of the males. In the other subjects, history and political education, geography, mathematics, agriculture, chemistry, and biology, the proportions of females in the exceptional and outstanding levels are lower than that of the females. But interestingly, mama, when you look at the column E, those that are elementary, you will see that the percentage of females that are elementary are lower. All along, from English, where they are only 2.6 compared to 4.7. In Christian religious education, 0.5 compared to 1.1, and so on. They are lower than the males all along. Mama, the achievements of special groups is also reported. Our prison inmates at Luzira, 28 candidates were registered and 1 candidate was absent, and all these 27 candidates, mama, qualified for the award of the UCE certificate. Similarly, at Mbarara Main Prisons Inmates Secondary School, the 11 candidates who were registered all sat, and all of them also qualified for the award of the UCE certificate. Special needs candidates, their performance is shown in table 4. The achievement levels, we show the special needs type. The results, we are now, this time we are showing those that qualified as result 1, and then those that do not qualify, result 2 and 3, and then those who sat and the total. And the table shows there that 703 or 95.3% of the candidates qualified for the award of this UCE certificate, whilst that 35 or 4.7% candidates did not qualify. Worth noting here is that all the candidates in the deaf category qualified for the UCE certificate. This is unlike the past, where when they appeared to be very disadvantaged because of their disabilities. We believe the reason for this is that the continuous assessment being part of the final achievement grades, the competencies of the blind can be demonstrated at the school level, and they are assessed and recognized and reported. unlike under the old curriculum where all we depended on was the end of cycle examination. Section 6, Mama, I report on feedback from candidates. UNEB conducted a survey with the first cohort of candidates to find out their perceptions of the examination papers that they had just sat. The intention of this feedback was to gain some information from the candidates that may inform future improvements. This being the first cohort, the first examination, there are areas definitely that may have to be looked at, and this was the reason why we wanted to find out from the candidates who had just done the examination what is it that they felt about the papers. A total of 50,631 candidates drawn from all the districts took part in this survey. Of these, 25,716 or 50.1% were males, while the other 49.2% were females. The candidates gave us a feedback on the 53 examination papers. They completed a brief questionnaire shortly after completing the exam papers. The key quality aspects of the examination papers and their responses are summarized in Table 5. These key quality aspects were whether they thought the examination items were from the syllabus that they had covered, whether they felt that the time that was allocated to them was adequate, whether they found the items were clear to understand, and what their overall view of the examination papers were. So, Mama, the results indicate that 94.6% of our candidates found that the items they went through were from the syllabus that they had covered. Only 4.1% did not agree, and 1.3% did not offer any opinion. 67.4% of the candidates indicated that they had enough time, while 30.8% thought that the time allocated to them was not enough. 1.8% did not respond. 83.2% found the items clear, while 15.5% thought they did not understand the items very well. In their response to the overall view of the examination papers, Mama, 5% said the exams were very easy. 60.1% said the exams were fair. 31.9% found the examination difficult, and 3% did not respond. Mama, it should be noted that UNEB developed and administered pre-test papers as part of its preparations to assess candidates under the competency-based curriculum, which papers were scored and analyzed to arrive at those key quality findings. The final paper formats used in the end of cycle were based on the results of the pre-tests. The results of the survey, whereas it is not very surprising given the challenges that schools faced, but overall they indicate to a very good extent that great strides of implementation of the competency-based curriculum assessment was achieved. Examination malpractice, Section 7. Mama, there has been a very welcome reduction in the cases of malpractice. There are 64 cases with a total of 984 candidates who are suspected. This compares to nearly 3,000 in the previous curriculum. The nature of the items in the papers do not seem to lend themselves very easily to malpractice. However, the cases that are reported are mostly in the science practical papers, with physics being most affected. Of the cases that were reported, 883 or 93.1% are in the sciences, and only a small percentage in the rest of the other subjects. In these science cases, there is overwhelming evidence that candidates were given experimental results that teachers had done and they were merely copying, and the work that they were showing in their papers did not relate to the results that they themselves had recorded. Our gratitude, Mama. Mama, in Romans chapter 8, verse 13, the scripture says, in view of all this, what can we say? If God is for us, who can be against us? Indeed, Mama, when all is said and done, we acknowledge that God has been for us in this journey to deliver the ultimate product in the implementation of the new curriculum. By His providence and unfailing faithfulness, whatever obstacles were against us were overcome. Whatever weapon formed against us did not prosper, as Isaiah 54:17 says. Mama, you prayed for us and you supported us all the time. We are grateful. I thank the chairperson, Professor Celestine Obua, and members of the board for the prompt decisions that they make on matters that we refer to them as management and the guidance that we get. I'm very grateful, Mama, to our colleagues at the National Curriculum Development Center and the Directorate of Education Standards for their cooperation and the support that they rendered in these efforts. I applaud and praise my technical team at UNEB for the meticulous work leading to the advent of the first cohort of UCE results under this curriculum. Mama, for the last 2 years, they have given everything, time, intellect, innovation, and energy to ensure the success of this curriculum. We weathered all sorts of inquiries from all corners, concerns from anxious members of the public and our schools, and doubting Thomases wondering whether this examination will ever see the light of day. Mama, here we are. At some point, we were like the cook in the kitchen, where the diners, everybody is looking in to ask what kind of food is coming out of this kitchen. Is there enough salt? Is there matoke and ugali and all that? But we have served. And I think, Mama, what we have brought is a buffet where there is something in it for everyone. I'm grateful to the chairperson and members of the Committee on Education and Sports, represented here, Mama, by Honorable James Kubeketeria, the chair, Jane Okoremo, Honorable, and Honorable Nathan Itungo, who are here. They have done their best, Mama, to support the board in its quest for the appropriate funding in order to effectively deliver this curriculum and also deliver in its mandate. I'm grateful to the security agencies which assisted the board during the monitoring of the field conduct of the exam, the area supervisors, heads of examination centers, scouts, invigilators. All these did a great job during the conduct of the examination as required by the stipulated board regulations. Mama, I'm grateful to the scorers who handled the candidate scripts and completed in time, apart from those other hitches that we have talked about, in order for other processes to take place, culminating in the release of the results. I also thank the heads of schools that allowed us to use their premises as marking centers. Finally, Mama, I congratulate all the candidates who have qualified for the UCE certificate, the teachers who guided their learning, and the parents and the guardians who provided for and supported them. Collection of results. As I said, for the transition examination, these results are going to be loaded on the portals and schools can download them, and anyone who is interested can use the SMS service. Mama, we have issued 2 results. The index numbers for the transition exam, if a person wants to access results for the transition exam, the index number has to have the letter T at the end. For example, you'd put in U000 whatever stroke 001T. If you do not put the T, it will not give you the results that you'd want. I also urge the examination centers to send us any queries on the results within a period of 21 working days so that we can attend to. In conclusion, Mama, I pray that God blesses His Excellency the President as he leads and guides this nation towards prosperity. And Mama, may God bless you as you support His Excellency the President and as you guide the Ministry of Education and Sports. May God bless the Uganda National Examinations Board. May God bless our Parliament, and may God bless our motherland, Uganda. Mama, thank you very much for your kind attention. I'm yours faithfully. We have prepared a small brochure, a fact sheet, which explains quite a bit in very, very good summary about the assessment of the competency-based curriculum. I think all the members who are here will have a copy and will make this available to the public. Thank you very much, Mama.
A big round of applause to UNEB, and a very big one to Mama, our team leader, and the rock on which we all anchor ourselves. Thank you very much for leading this sector very well. Apoyo Matek, Won Rudy, Apoyo Matek, Min Rudy, UNEB. Precisely, I'm saying thank you very much, Nalongo, thank you very much, Salongo, UNEB. At this moment in time, I would like to request the chairperson and the ED UNEB, accompanied by the ministers, the PS, and the honorable members of parliament, to present the results book to Mama. Asante sana. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. May I have the honor of inviting Dr. Jesse Muyingo, the Minister of State for Higher Education to give some brief remarks, and thereafter invite Mama to address the nation and officially release the results.
Thank you very much, David. Mama, our team leader, the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, my colleagues, the Honorable Ministers of State for Education and Sports, the Honorable Chairperson and members of the Education and Sports Committee of Parliament, the Permanent Secretary and the staff of the Ministry, the Executive Director and the staff of Ghana National Examination Board, the Executive Director, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Mama, today we are here for yet another exciting moment where we are making history in our quest to provide quality education. The release of the results of the first cohort of candidates who sat examinations under the new lower secondary school curriculum is one of the best things that has happened this year. Mama, when you rolled out this curriculum in 2020, there was a lot of uncertainty and many people wondered how it would be managed and assessed, but with God it is done. And today we celebrate a great achievement of a new curriculum successfully implemented and assessed. I am thrilled to report that the implementation of this curriculum has created a paradigm shift in the way our learners are guided through school. There has been a complete change from a content-based curriculum to one that enables our learners to acquire not the ability to recall facts as it has been, but to have competences that enable them to be creative and solve problems in real life. Mama, I thank you for your vision and strong leadership that has enabled us as a sector to come this far. Despite the initial challenges that affected the rollout of the new lower secondary curriculum, such as COVID-19 pandemic, you remained steadfast. And indeed, we are here to reap the fruits of your determination to change the status quo and lead to a transformation. I want to thank the National Curriculum Development Center for the great work they did to ensure the curriculum was possible to implement and assess. Curriculum Development Center, thank you so much for the innovative ways you employed to ensure as many teachers as possible are trained to implement the curriculum, and we remain ever grateful for the sacrifices you made to ensure we are all successful. This is now the new breed of learners with the skills we have been yearning for. I thank UNEP for the corresponding innovations in assessment, and we cannot get tired of recognizing the excellency with which UNEP does its work. UNEP, thank you so much. We are grateful to the board for being very professional in whatever you do, and for always doing well what they are supposed to do. We thank you, Chairperson, Executive Director, and your team for a job well done. Thank you very much once again. And a hand clap for UNEP with a special way, really. This has not been very easy. Another hand clap for the Ministry of Education and Sport. Our permanent secretary and her technical team, congratulations and thank you very much. My colleagues, the ministers of state, I know you have been pushing from different angles. You've been monitoring, supervising. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Mama, with your permission, it's now my honor to invite you to address the nation and release the UCE examination results for 2024, where the whole country has been eagerly waiting for. Thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you, Honorable Miengo. Please sit down. My colleagues, Honorable Ministers of State, present here or today, the Chairperson and members of the Education and Sports Committee of Parliament, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education and Sports and your team, the Chairperson and members of the Board, UNEB, the Executive Director, UNEB and your team, the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I must thank God so much today for this day that He has made. We have every reason to rejoice and be glad in it, as UNEB presents to us yet again results of 2 examinations done concurrently. I really thank the Chairperson and the Board of UNEB, the Executive Director and his team at the UNEB Secretariat for a very good job done. Yes, please give them a very loud clap. I recall that last year I released the UCE examination results on the 15th of February 2024. This time, we are ready to release today on the 11th of February 2025. That we are a few days earlier must have meant a lot of dedication and hard work. I say again, thank you, UNEB, so much. Now, talking about hard work, it was reassuring to hear that even in this time of hectic business of developing the structures and processes for managing the continuous assessment and end-of-cycle examination under the new lower secondary curriculum, UNEB was also working on attaining of certification from the International Organization for Standardization, as you heard the chair of UNEB explain to us, for ISO 9001-2015 standard for quality management system. This should give further assurance to the public that UNEB is committed to observance of quality processes in executing its mandate. Yes, as we release the results for 2024 UCE candidates, we have candidates that sat examination of the new lower secondary curriculum, and the last cohort, as you heard, of candidates who sat UCE under the old lower secondary curriculum. That was a lot of work in this past year. The latter are the learners who had missed the 2023 UCE examination for various reasons, or those who had not made it and wanted to repeat the examination. This opportunity was provided, as you heard my colleagues explain. It was provided so that such learners were not disadvantaged. I am glad that as a ministry, we thought through this, and UNEB presented a proposal for a one-off UCE examination in 2024 for learners who had been using the previous lower secondary curriculum. So we thank God that we have the results to release today for the last UCE examination of the old lower secondary curriculum. As you heard, ask the selection committee now to ensure that the 2024 cohort of candidates who took the UCE examination under the old curriculum and qualify for post-UCE placement, that they will not be left out by God's grace. For those learners who yet again did not avail themselves this last opportunity at UCE examination under the previous lower secondary curriculum, I encourage them to look out for other opportunities of progression in education and training through the vocational pathway. You do not have to drop out of formal education at all. You can try again through this other pathway. So we praise God in a special way now that we are finally releasing the results of the first cohort of candidates under the new lower secondary curriculum. As I said earlier, this curriculum was rolled out in 2020. As you all know, the start was not smooth, as occasioned among other disruptions by COVID-19 pandemic. Indeed, many people thought that this curriculum was something that government would soon drop. This perhaps explains why we kept getting reports that many schools were stuck in teaching the old curriculum. However, we remained steadfast in implementing the new lower secondary curriculum despite those hiccups, because the curriculum was designed to develop competencies in all the areas of learning. It was the best for our country and our plans for the future, using the head, the hands, and the heart. Learners who have gone through this curriculum have the ability for self-learning, as you heard from all the colleagues who spoke before me. I'm glad to hear from the Executive Director, UNEB, that, for instance, in science practical work candidates use a scenario and materials provided and plan their own investigations using the science process skills. The assessment tasks are geared towards solving problems in the real world. These are the citizens the country needs to be coming out of our education system now. They will contribute greatly to the realization of our national vision, which focuses on transformation from peasantry to modern and prosperous Uganda. To effectively assess competence-based learning, achievement of the learners was assessed at school level, and the continuous assessment scores, which now form part of the overall learners' UCE examination grade. This has reduced the impact of just a one-shot end of cycle examination. Combination of continuous assessment and end of cycle scores gives a holistic picture of the learner's achievement. We have seen it in the Executive Director's report, exemplified by the deaf candidates whose performance has significantly improved. I call on the professionalism of the teachers to ensure the integrity of the continuous assessment scores submitted to UNEB. This is very important because that's how we get the whole learning of any one of the students of the work they do throughout the year. Validity and reliability must be observed in generating these continuous assessment scores so that they reflect the true levels of achievement by the learner. I ask UNEB, within the resources available, to institute a robust training, monitoring, and evaluation system to ensure that schools comply with the guidelines issued on continuous assessment and project work assessment. I thank the National Curriculum Development Center for the hard work in putting the new lower secondary competence-based curriculum in place. I also want to thank the parents that provided input from a parent's perspective during the review of the final draft of the new lower secondary curriculum. Maybe we don't thank the parents enough, but we must remember that they also have a role and we don't forget to thank them. I call on the country to accept this change, which is for the better. I know that we have for a long time been used to aggregates and divisions, as you heard Mr. Odong say, leading to ranking of schools. This was always a source of very unethical practice by many schools to survive in the unhealthy competitions that had developed. Therefore, I'm happy to see that the NCDC and UNEB have now come up with a new approach that eliminates ranking candidates by divisions attained. Relatedly, I have also learned that the Office of Personal Data Protection has drawn UNEB to the provisions within the Data Protection and Privacy Act, Cap 97, that prohibits the publication of personal data of children. As such, UNEB has been informed by the Personal Data Protection Office, in quotes, that publicly disclosing the names, photographs, and individual grades of learners on boards or other publicly accessible platforms exposes such learners to harassment, stigma, and emotional distress. Accordingly, schools are advised now to use alternative methods of sharing examination outcomes without compromising student privacy by way of disclosing personal learner information or data. Therefore, I now task UNEB and all the other examination and assessment agencies under the Ministry of Education and Sports, together with the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Education and Sports, to liaise with the Data Protection and Privacy Office for further appreciation of this guidance on how to fully comply with the Data Protection and Privacy Act and its regulations in the management of assessment and examination results. Thereafter, the Permanent Secretary shall formally communicate to all education institutions of learning by way of a circular on how to always ensure privacy of individual learners' results. For now, in keeping with the Data Protection and Privacy Act, Cap 97, and its regulations, schools and institutions of learning should desist from all forms of public display of individual learner academic results. That said, I must send hearty congratulations to our learners who have had their places sealed in history as the first cohort to sit for the UCE examinations under the new lower secondary curriculum. That is competence-based and have qualified for the award of the certificate. I thank the teachers who guided them through the learner-centered teaching approach which this curriculum requires. I thank the parents again and guardians who support supported the learners, especially in the project work. And once again, I thank UNEP Board, Secretariat, and all the people who participated in the assessment and scoring process of the 2024 UCE examination. Lastly, I wish to inform all schools and the general public that the selection dates for the Senior 5 class of 2025 are the 20th to 21st Feb 2025. The first term reporting date for the Senior 5 class of 2025 is Monday, the 3rd March 2025. It is now my singular honor to release the 2024 UCE results for both the last cohort of examinations under the previous lower secondary curriculum and the pioneer class under the new lower secondary curriculum. I thank you and God bless you. Thank you, Ministry of Education, UNEB, committee in Parliament, everybody related to this work. I thank you and God bless you.
Mama, with your permission, may I request that we resume our seats for a few minutes to receive a summary of your address in Luganda. And due to popular demand, I've been requested not to change the winning team. May I now invite Dr. Mugenyi to come and give the summary.